at the halfway mark in episode 5 of season 1 of Sanditon. That scene of James and Charlotte we just watched. Charlotte seemed to enjoying the game, the cricket game. She did wish James good luck before the game. She was looking forward to how well he would play in the game, and James was happy to see Charlotte enjoying the game, but more than that, she might be impressed by his skills, his abilities in playing the game very well. I do want to say, I think this is a great time to share my personal perspective about James, Charlotte, and Sydney. A little backstory: I became a fan of this show after season 1 aired. I think it was in the middle of the time period of the fan trying to get the show back for season 2, and eventually we got season 3 as well. So I watched season 1. I immediately fell in love with it. I was like, I love time period pieces, like this is great. And I binge watched all 8 episodes of season 1. I did recognize that it's obvious, I would say. Respectfully, it is obvious that there was a love triangle between Sydney, James, and Charlotte. 2 different guys, 2 different personalities. James and Charlotte, they got along really well since the very beginning, since they first met, and they came from similar background, that family lifestyle, and the upbringing that they had, and the values that they believed in. But eventually, by the end of season 1, from my perspective, I saw them more like just a friendship. I wouldn't say, some people said that it's more like a brother-sister relationship, but I think it's just more I thought it was just a friendship, a really, really, really strong friendship. If Sydney wasn't around, if Sydney did not exist, I would totally go for James and Charlotte just because of how well they are together as friends and how much interest that they did have with each other. Sydney, I would team Sydney all the way. I'm going to be honest with you with that. It's just something about Sydney and Charlotte together that's just something unique and something new. I don't know if I can describe it, but it's just like opposite attract in a way. And they went through a lot of ups and downs. I like the dynamic of their friendship, even though they started on the wrong foot. But yeah, I would team Sydney all the way. But I do want to be fair, and I can't avoid James Stringer. He played an important role in season 1, especially in Charlotte's journey in Sanditon. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to talk about the love triangle, but I do want to have that open-minded perspective and just be aware and recognize that there was a James Swinger and that there was something that was happening with him and Charlotte. They did flirt with each other like a couple of times throughout season 1. It was obvious, but Charlotte's mindset on James is totally different with her mindset on Sydney, and we will get to see that through the rest of season 1.
You picked a good spot. You've hardly touched the ball.
Anyone would think I chose it for a reason.
Did you?
You know I did.
Esther and Lord Babbington, let me know your opinion on this relationship. I just really like this couple in a way that I'm happy for Esther. He seemed to be like a better man for her, and a man that will love her honestly and not afraid to show his love to her, not only to her but in front of other people. It took a while for them to get it going, but here we are in the way out of field of the cricket game, and just these two having a private conversation, trying to get to know each other. And it's really funny and pretty cool at the same time how Esther started another conversation with a sarcastic comment. She was easily in tune with him. It's like, she made that joke and that he followed along and joked back to her. You can see the little flirtatious and playful side of Esther that she is beginning to show to him.
My aunt's idea, not mine.
She does seem to be taking a great interest in our activities.
She takes a great interest in everyone's activities.
Babs, are you playing?
Your friend Crow doesn't care much for me. He's a strutting peacock. You're two of a kind.
That look from Edward, that should make you start to question, like, okay, is he starting to be jealous for his sister Esther and this new friendship that she is forming with Lord Babington? And Edward seemed to know him in some ways, to have that mutual connection. So it's kind of like, oh, my friend is dating my sister. And usually there's like a rule book when it comes to that. So Edward, like half of him, like he probably starting to be jealous, and the other half is like had that protective shell around his sister. It's just like, oh my goodness, my sister gonna really fall for the guy? Like, are they really gonna get married eventually?
Is that really all you think of me?
You've yet to convince me otherwise.
Perhaps I could invite you on a short ride later. Give me the opportunity to prove you wrong.
Babington!
Your ball, Lord Babington.
Thank you, Miss Denham.
She mentioned about the ball finally reaching the outer field, and she's like, are you even want to play, or are you trying to spend the day with me instead? And he did invited her to a horse ride later on. He's very interested in her, and it seemed that she started to be a little bit more interested in him.
We haven't been paid a penny in weeks.
I'm sorry. I must confess, in the heat of the moment, I made a mistake.
What an embarrassment, right? You, the project manager, you the boss, and you cannot pay your men on time. You hiding it from your wife, and now Mary knows what really is going on, and that's embarrassing for her too. To witness her husband in that confession moment in public.
I'll play.
But isn't this a gentleman's pursuit?
Women play cricket in Willingdon, Reverend.
This sounds infinitely more lively than Sanditon.
And you can see that relation to what we learned in the history book. Women didn't have much freedom, and there were a lot of limits and barriers to women back then. They didn't see women playing cricket, for example, in the scene, and they were laughing at her like, okay, like, there's no way that you know how to play cricket because only the men play. Charlotte is breaking that barrier in that scene.
You heard the umpire?
He was wrong. My brother wasn't out. We play on. Play on.
Sydney basically allowed her to play. He he looked at her and he knew that she knew how to play and that she had the ability and confidence to do so and to help his team win. Hopefully, by the end of the game, he supported her. He didn't mock her. He didn't reject her, and he allowed her to play. And I think that meant something to her in a good way. You can see James. He was like smiling at her in a way that, like, okay, like, you know, I know how Charlotte is, and she's not afraid to do something that she believes in. And he gave her that nod, like, okay, like, here we go, like, they're gonna be fun. Charlotte, she's a woman and she's playing hooker game, so everyone like, oh my goodness, this never happened before. This is the first woman to ever play a hooker game in Sanditon on the beach, in this worker versus gentleman match. So Georgiana took the opportunity to just abruptly leave by herself. So we will see what happened to her later on.
Because it was a temporary situation, and the men knew that. The regatta was sorted out. You're making too much of it, Mary. Yeah. It was hot out there. Tempers got frayed. That's
Stop lying to yourself, Tom. And stop lying to me. You couldn't find the money to pay your men. Yet you can give me this.
Tom, of course, went home. Mary also left the game and went home to talk to him. We never get to see Mary raise her voice like that. And in the very beginning of the Sandy Trail, I mentioned about how Mary seemed to be quiet and in her own little quiet corner, like behind her husband's shadow. But there is a side of her where when things are serious and need to be talked about, she is serious and she confronts, and she just did in this scene with Tom.
I could bear anything. Anything. If you had confided in me.
Mary.
Don't.
Mary, please. You, the children, you are my life.
Tom should have confided in her. That's one of the major purposes in the marriage. When you get married and you're a husband and wife, you're supposed to trust one another and talk to one another. Open communication and honesty, those are very important. And Tom is lacking in those areas in his marriage. And it affects him really big, and it affects her too. And she had that instinct all along, and she knew that there was something going on. And finally, the big reveal happened in this episode.
I will repair this. You have my solemn word. I will go straight to London now. I will make amends if it's the last thing I do.
No more promises, Tom. All you ever do is break them.
How in the world can we fix this? And she doesn't really know much about business and managing the investment. I don't think she does. So in her head, she's just like, if my husband cannot manage money for the construction, for example, like how can he manage the money for our home, for our family, our kids, the food that we eat?
Thank you. I know what I'm doing.
If you can't make the run, just stay put.
Yes, thank you. I know exactly what I'm doing. Now, please, I'm concentrating and you're putting me off.
All right.
It's like that look on Charlotte's face, like, did I just reveal to him that he distracts me in that way? Like, in a way that, you know, if a cute guy is, like, right in front of you, like, you know, you have your eyes all over him and you lose focus and he just distracts you, like, mentally. That thing. So she's just like, oh my goodness, did I just say that out loud? But more importantly, she wanted to win the game. She loved the Parker family, and she probably thinking in the back of her head, I'm gonna win this for Tom, and I'm gonna win this for the gentleman team. You can see that she has her loyalty to Tom and his family.
Yeah!
Charlotte knows how to play, and the way that James threw the ball, I felt like he did it too easy on her. I don't know if that made sense. But he was just like, oh man, she really did hit it. And people were impressed by her skills in playing the cricket game. There was that moment of Edward seeing Lord Babington leaving the bench, and he is going to see and talk to Esther once again. That look to me is like some jealousy going on.
All by yourself, Edward? I would offer myself as company, but your aunt sent me to tell you she's retiring for the day.
What's that to me?
Shall I tell her that?
One of the big questions in season 1 is, does Edward have a thing for Clara? You know, like, is there like a special bond between them? Do they like each other in that way? Clara made that joke, that assumption, like, oh, you're all by yourself, but we all know what that means. Like, oh, you know, he's a single guy, and she knows that Esther is going after Lord Babington, and now she sees Edward all alone, and she's like, this is my chance, like, maybe I can make him fall for me, and we get married, and that I would get the money from Lady Denham one way or another, you know, whether to myself or to Edward in the marriage. So she has some game plan in the back of her head.
Your aunt seems delighted by the prospect of Esther's growing liaison with Lord Babington. With clever Esther safely married off and in the lap of luxury, that just leaves you. And me. And your aunt's money. I wonder which of us will triumph.
Edward, though, like, is he really gonna fall for Clara and marry her and be together with her forever? Like, is he that type of guy that's gonna commit to a woman for a very long time? Like, right now, he's one of those guys that he jumped from one woman to the next. Like, he's not serious about settling down and committing to one woman. Like, will he get hurt, though? That possibility of Clara using him and, you know, for example, like, to get married and, you know, she get the money to him because they're married, like, for instance, for example, and then she leaves him, you know, and get the money with her and escape from him. All the possibility, will Edward, you know, play that game, play along with her, like, and also the possibility of, like, having a fake marriage, you know, having a fake relationship, in a way that, you know, they give each other benefits in the fake marriage, so they both get the money, and basically he, playing against his sister, Esther. So if Esther already have her own husband and stuff, and Lady Denham passes away, right? And then she hands it off to either Clara herself or Edward. You know, Edward and Clara will have 2 chances of winning. Esther only have 1 chance of winning. So it's all about the money. It's all about the fortune of Lady Denham.
Actually, I don't.
Also, the possibility of him doing this just to attack back to Esther, especially those looks that he's been giving off whenever he sees his sister with Lord Babington. So this could be a defense technique against Esther and be like, hey, this is what you lost, like you have your own man, like I have Clara. And Esther might not like that. She might not like her half brother ending up with Clara, especially this triangle drama that they are in. Like I don't think Esther would like, you know, her half brother to be married to Clara. Those physical touches, those glances at each other, you can feel the intensity building up in the scene. The feelings are starting to rise.
To find you slightly better company.
I've never met anyone else who could give a compliment in such a way as it might also be an insult. You are extraordinary, Miss Denham. Quite extraordinary.
Compare this scene to the scene where he walked up to her at the cricket game under that tent with Lady Denham and Clara at the table. Compare her facial expression to now, like in this scene. It's a whole different ball game. It's just like the world flipped upside down in the good way. She definitely opened up more. It's like a flower blossomed. How I'm like describing Esther right now in this scene. Lord Babington, he enjoys her company. He's enjoying every minute that he's having with her in this day, on the day of the cricket game. He made that very bold and beautiful compliment to her. And it really touched her. And I think that's like the first time a man told her that. I might be wrong by making an assumption. And she just like looking at him, staring at him, like that's like the nicest thing anyone ever said to me. And it's like he recognized her, like he understands her, and he sees that she is something special.
All pretense aside, I've never met any woman who has conjured up such feelings in me. I'm all at sea.
He definitely revealing his feeling toward her. It's really nice though. Like he's chasing after her, and I think that's like the best situation to be in when you're trying to find someone to settle down with. The guy chasing the lady.
It's getting cold, Lord Babington. We should go back.
I cannot go back. I'm compelled to go forward. Miss Denham, will you do me the honour of becoming my wife?
There's one more thing, and he proposed to her.
This is ridiculous.
I'm serious.
And she's just like not taking it seriously because she's just thinking we just met. And I don't blame her. Like, you know, what are you doing? Like, we can't do this like right away. Like, we need like at least 3 more dates before the proposal, before the engagement. He is serious though. And when he knows what he wants, he goes after it, and he knows he wants Esther for the rest of his life as his wife, and he is making that bold move in proposing to her right now.
I wasn't expecting this.
I don't blame her. She's like, I need time to think. Like, this is going all too fast. He knows his feeling for her, but I don't think she hasn't like calculated her feelings yet. Like she hasn't like made that final statement of how she truly feels for him. Like have that recheck. Like, okay, do I want him? Like, do I want to marry him? Also, I was thinking like in her back of her mind, she most likely thinking about her brother Edward. You know, she's still in that mental break, emotional break of like trying to like fix herself and trying to get back into the game. She just, I mean, if I was her, I would be like making sure that I'm emotionally ready to commit and mentally ready to commit also. Mentally, emotionally, and physically ready to commit to Lord Babington if I was her. Like, you know, is she ready for that commitment? Like, once she say yes to him, like, you know, there's no going back. Like, there's no more Edward. You know, like the past is the past, and everything now is the future.